Welcome to the Agility in Real Life podcast, Take 5 in Real Life. Now your hosts, Mike Studeman, Jeff Lee, and Pat Campbell.
That's very interesting. So the pilot team actually identified that the number one barrier to delivering a value was the rest of the organization that hadn't transformed.
Correct. Yeah.
I think that's gonna just a comment. I think that's gonna resonate with a lot of people that watch this episode because they're obviously if they're interested in an agility IRL podcast, they're probably a change maker of some sort, a change agent of some sort, and candidly are probably frustrated themselves with the parts of their organizations that haven't changed. So
Right.
I think
Yeah.
it's really quite fascinating. So what did leadership do there? I mean that this has to be kind of a key moment in the journey because leadership could have said, well, pilot team, you just didn't get it. We're going to unravel that, or we're going to have to move forward. So I'm curious, what did leadership do?
Right. And probably like the decision they made here is again also why I stuck around, right? Because what they said is not, well, this clearly doesn't work. They ended up, after those conversations, concluding that this is going to work, but it will only work if everybody is on board in doing this. So they knew this transformation of way of working is going to impact everyone in the organization and everything they are responsible for. And we need everybody to rethink what they're doing and what it means to the teams that are actually trying to deliver value to our customers. So they concluded we are moving ahead, but we're going to have everybody in. And
Wow.
this is where they ended up starting a transformation where 18,000 people in the Dutch organization moved to an agile way
18,000?
of work. Yes,
Wow.
they moved to an agile way of working across the board. Everybody was in. So big change um, that this might not sound very agile, right? Big change and that needed almost like military precision planning. Because you can imagine if you're going to change a heavy regulated thing like a bank, there's going to be lots of questions about what it is that you're doing, what you're changing. And there would be people saying, hey, if you do that, the bank is going to
It'll fail,
fall
right?
apart and it
Right.
will no longer be functioning. Um, but they did make that change. And they did do all the necessary preparations to be able to make that change in one go. And it showed that even with fewer people in the organization, right? They they will make sure that bank does not fall apart. And and if you allow people to take on that responsibility and make it work.
So I'm curious, and this is maybe a little bit of a negative question or a dark question, but did everyone make the transformation to the new organization? Did everyone come along and say, "Yeah, I'm willing to work in a new way," or were there people that just said, "I can't work in this new way. I'm going to have to go work somewhere else."
Not everybody made it to the new organization. It was a big reorg as well, where at the time a cost cut had to be done. Where we said we cannot use the way of working as the excuse to do this. But if this has to be done, do it first, and then start your new way of working. You don't want to be in a situation where people are not clear about whether they have a job or not, right? That that insecurity is very destructive. So if it
Absolutely.
needs to be done, be very clear about it. Be respectful to the people leaving the organization. Take good care of them, and then make the restart with the new way of working. So that is not a nice thing to go through. It was on the other side also an opportunity. It was for most people had to reapply for their job. And it was the first time where we weren't just looking at the knowledge people had about the processes that they had to run, or the education they had. We had an opportunity to also look at the ability of people to work as part of a team and not say, hey, this is me and I'm gonna solve this, but it's, hey, I'm part of this team and the team is going to solve it, which made for some really unexpected decisions at some points where
I'm sure. I'm
people that were
sure.
considered um, crucial to the organization didn't make it to the new organization because they were not necessarily the one that are the biggest team players. And that made I think a big contribution to the shift in culture as well, right? At that point. Also, we started looking at, we want people actually doing the work, right? So we don't
Right?
need people telling other people what to do. We want people that are actually doing the work.
Yeah, the
And
doers, the workers.
yes,
Yeah.
right. So that made like that we could reduce the number of management layers in the organization, um, and new people that got into leadership positions would be people that actually know the work. And in general, I would say um, all levels of leadership would be very close to the teams actually doing the work.
That's I think there's so many good lessons here in this case study, but leaders being close to the work is one. Thinning out leadership ranks, making sure that you let the teams have some guidance without having, 10, 12, 13 layers of leadership above them.
Mm.
That's key. So I think a lot of our viewers are maybe in similar situations today with all the uncertainty in the world. Given having lived through the ING case study, what are some pieces of advice that you'd give them? I mean, beyond, having leaders know the work, beyond, changing the whole organization, give somebody that's in a similar position to the one that you were in, back in 2011, give them some advice here as we near the end of our episode.
Yeah. So um, I'm probably going to bring up a topic that we could probably explore more.
Sure.
The one thing I would call out is that if I look at a lot of organizations, their focus is very much on, I would say, predict the future, like guess or that you know exactly what it is your customer need, and um, have a product strategy and say this is the thing we're going to build, and then the year after is going to look like this, and maybe even doing that in an iterative way, right?
Right, right.
Um, what I think is very important is that way of working. It's not about what is the thing that you're going to build and try to have that be as innovative as possible, but rather say, I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but if I want to be successful in the future, um, I need to be very innovative in the way I get it delivered, right? So that way of working is a very crucial part of your organization being successful, maybe even more than your product strategy. Because if you are the one that is capable of responding to whatever happens, um, you'll probably be the one that is the first one to come up with something that your
Sure,
customers actually
sure.
need. So positioning your way of working as a very crucial part of your organization, and not something that, well, we'll see how we end up delivering it, is absolutely vital to I would say most organizations around now. And I don't see a lot of organizations actually acting like that. It's sort of, hey, we have this great product strategy, and then we're gonna deliver it with a system that hasn't changed for over 100 years. That's the thing that you would want to dive into and see. For example, rather than asking for a business case, can we
Right,
have leaders
right.
come up, show up, and say, right? How do you know how can we test whether what we think it's going to be is actually true, and how can we show that that's it?
Yeah, so not assuming that you can predict the future, putting your way of working or your way of developing on the same level with what you're building, or even above what you're building in terms of importance. And then I like what you added there at the end around, testing your assumptions or validating your assumptions to make sure that you're on the right path. Well, this has been a great conversation. I hope I can have you on future episodes. There's a number of additional questions that I think we can explore based on your experience, but I really appreciate your time today, Heis, and hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did.
I did for sure, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Join us again on a future episode of Take 5 IRL. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Take 5 IRL podcast. If you like it, please go ahead and share it with someone, as well as like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Also, leave us a comment or a suggestion for a future episode. Again, thanks for listening, and we look forward to you joining us next time on the Take 5 IRL podcast.